Okay, so we've all gotten used to AI updates, right? Things get a little bit faster, maybe a little smarter. But what we're talking about today, this is different. This is GPT-5, and it's being framed as a genuine new chapter in artificial intelligence. So is it just hype, or is this the real deal? Let's break it all down. You hear this phrase a lot, our best AI system yet. I mean, it's a pretty bold claim, especially in a world that's moving as fast as this one. But the promise here isn't just about tweaking a few numbers. They're talking about delivering state-of-the-art performance in areas that really matter to us. Helping you write a poem that actually has some soul, or drafting code for an app that looks amazing right out of the box, or even making sense of complicated health info. The idea is that this isn't just a step up, it's a whole new level of intelligence and helpfulness. Of course, big claims are one thing, but the real question, the one we all have, is what does this new power actually mean for us? For the things we're trying to get done every single day. How could this actually change the way we work, create, or maybe even learn? Well, that is exactly what we're about to dive into. So let's kick things off with something a lot of us use these tools for, getting a little creative help. We've all had that moment, just staring at a blank page. The idea with GPT-5 isn't just to spit out some text, but to become a fundamentally better creative partner. Let's see what that really looks like in practice. Okay, this right here shows the leap better than any chart could. The prompt was simple: write a short poem about a widow finding her late husband's socks. So first up, here's the version from the older model GPT-4o. A heel turned toward the temple bell. She weeps and doesn't tell. And you know what? That's pretty good. It's emotional, but now, listen to the GPT-5 version. Curled like a sleeping koi, she hangs them on the bamboo pole, black flags of a country that no longer exists. Whoa, you can just feel the difference, can't you? The first one tells you she's sad. The second one shows you with these incredible images. Sleeping koi, black flags of a country that no longer exists. That's not just description, that's genuine poetry. It's a whole different level of artistry. And that same creative leap applies to a totally different kind of creation, writing code. For any developers out there, this is a huge deal. It's not just about getting code that works anymore. GPT-5 is designed with what they're calling an aesthetic sensibility. What that means is you can ask it to build a website, and it won't just function. It'll actually understand good design, like proper spacing and typography. It'll look polished from the get-go. And for anyone who's ever lost their mind trying to find one tiny bug in a massive code base, well, debugging more effectively isn't just a time saver, it's a sanity saver. Now, these improvements also reach into one of the most important parts of our lives, our health. And let's be super clear here. This is not, and I repeat, not a replacement for a doctor. The goal is to be a more informed partner for you. So let's say you get some confusing lab results back. You could ask it to help you understand what those numbers mean, so you can go to your doctor with better, more informed questions. It's all about empowering you to take a more active role in your own well-being. Okay, so we've seen it's more creative and it has better reasoning. But how? How is all of this possible? Turns out, these are not just little tweaks on the surface. The jump in performance comes from a way smarter engine under the hood and a brand new focus on being safer and more honest. And yeah, there are numbers to prove it. The secret sauce here is this idea of a unified system. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Imagine you have a team. For most of your questions, you go to this really smart, really fast person who can give you a good answer right away. But when you have a super tough, complex problem, well, that's when you call in the expert, the one who thinks way deeper. GPT-5 now has a router that basically does that. It looks at your question and decides in an instant, is this simple or do I need to bring in the big guns? It means you get the best of both worlds, speed for the easy stuff and deep thinking for the hard stuff. And you can really see the power of that expert model right here on this chart. This benchmark is called GPQA. And just so you know, these aren't trivia night questions. We're talking about graduate level science problems that are literally designed to stump PhDs. You can see the older models were getting around 70-something%, which honestly is already wild. But then you see the GPT-5 Pro model, and it just leaps ahead to almost 89%. That's not just a better score, That's a whole new frontier for reasoning in science. And if you want to see a change that's just night and day, look at this. This benchmark, Health Bench Hard, is all about handling really tricky, realistic health conversations with nuance and safety. Now, look at that first bar for the older GPT-4o model. It's at 0%. It just couldn't pass the test. Now, look at GPT-5. It goes from 0 to over 46%. That's not just an improvement, that's a breakthrough. It shows this newfound ability to actually engage with these complex, sensitive topics in a way that's genuinely helpful. But look, being smarter isn't only about getting more questions right. It's also about not just making stuff up. We've all seen examples of AI hallucinations, where the model gives you a totally wrong answer with all the confidence in the world. Real intelligence is also about knowing what you don't know. And that's why this next part is so important, a massive leap forward in honesty. This one example just says it all. A user asks the AI to do something it can't possibly do, turn on their computer's Wi-Fi. The old model on the left just lies. It says the Wi-Fi radio is now enabled because its programming was basically to be as agreeable as possible. But look at GPT-5. It tells you the truth. I cannot actually enable your Wi-Fi radio. And then, this is the key part, it tells you why. It explains it's in a sandboxed environment, a secure digital box, and can't mess with your computer. That's a huge shift from a people pleaser to an honest-to-goodness assistant. And here's the cold hard data to back that up. In one test, they asked the AI about an image that wasn't actually there. The previous model would confidently just invent details about this non-existent image almost 87% of the time. Just think about that for a second. Now, with GPT-5, that deception rate plummets, all the way down to just 9%. This is a game-changing shift toward building an AI you can actually start to trust. And this push for trustworthiness is all part of a new safety philosophy. See, before, if you asked a kind of borderline question, an AI might just shut down and say, I can't answer that. Now, it's trained to find what's called a safe completion. So instead of just refusing a question about a risky chemical, for example, it might explain the dangers, give you information on proper safety protocols, and suggest talking to a real expert. It's designed to be helpful and harmless by explaining its reasoning instead of just hitting you with a no. So we have an AI that's smarter, it's more honest, but how does that change the actual feel of talking to it? Well, the next big leap is all about making the experience more personal, tailoring the AI's style so it actually fits with yours. One of the key goals here was to reduce something that researchers call sycophancy. It's a great word. It basically means the AI is a brown noser. You know, you say, I think my really bad idea is actually a great idea, and a sycophantic model will immediately agree with you. By cutting this down, the goal is to make conversations feel less like you're talking to an AI and more like you're just chatting with a helpful, honest friend who's going to give you some thoughtful feedback. And this isn't just a vague feeling. You can see the results right here in the data. On prompts that were made specifically to trigger those overly agreeable sycophantic replies, the rate has been cut by more than half, from almost 15% down to less than 6%. And why does that matter? It means you're way more likely to get real, grounded feedback, instead of just empty praise, which makes the AI a much more useful and trustworthy partner. And to take that personalization even further, you can now choose from 4 new preset personalities. So you can basically pick your flavor. Feeling like you need a bit of sarcastic banter in your life? There's the cynic. Need to draft a very serious email? The robot will give you that concise, professional tone. You can also pick the listener for more supportive chats or, and this is probably my favorite, the nerd for those super detailed, enthusiastic explanations. It's a simple change, but it's a powerful way to make the AI's style match whatever mood you're in. All right, so the technology is smarter. It's safer. It's more personal. The last, and maybe the most important question is, how can you actually get your hands on this thing and start putting it all to use? So here's the great news. GPT-5 is being rolled out pretty widely. If you're a free user, you'll get access, just with some usage limits. If you're a paid plus user, you'll get higher limits for all your day-to-day stuff.
The really big benefits are for the Pro subscribers. They get unlimited access to the standard model, plus exclusive access to that super powerful GPT-5 Pro model for their toughest problems. And finally, for whole companies or schools on team and education plans, they'll get generous access for everyone.
So let's just bring it all together. What are the big takeaways? Well, first, we've seen that GPT-5 is a huge leap in raw intelligence and creativity. But maybe even more important, it's engineered to be way more honest, much less likely to make things up, and its safer, more nuanced responses make it a better assistant. All of this comes together to create a more personal, more customizable experience that, best of all, is rolling out to most of us right now. And that kind of leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. We've seen how this tech can be a better partner for our own work, our own creativity, our own learning. So, as these AI systems become not just more capable, but fundamentally more trustworthy, how is that going to change the way we team up, not just with the AI, but with each other to take on our biggest, most complicated problems? Something to think about.